Now, the planets as we've seen them have those particular traits to them. Basically, there's far more to it, but we'll add to our reading from the book on that. Now, this first column is the rulership. Now, that's the modern word for it. In the older days, it was called lord of. You'd see the word lord, but of course that's a bit un-PC these days, so it's often known as the rulership. Now, what does rulership mean? Rulership means that that planet is the affinity, the very affinity of this particular sign of the zodiac. There's a match, there's a marriage where the planetary energy is perfect. It reinforces what you know about that particular sun sign. So the sun rules the sign of Leo, and in Leo it gives that sunny vitality, that creativity, creative energy which is needed. Now, it doesn't say that any other sign of the zodiac has a different sun, but as we'll see as we run through, there's different positions. Now, I actually want to have this on the board here, but also sort of ignore it at the same time. We're going to look actually in the next video as well at the rulership and the fall. There is a thing called exalted position and detriment position. They're kind of like a halfway house really between the ultimate attachment and where the actual planetary energy is not working so well. So in this particular video, we're just going to look at the rulership. So we marry up the right planet for the right sun sign. So Leo, the sun is ruled the sign of Leo. Mercury is given to two signs of the zodiac. It's given to Gemini and it's given to Virgo. Now, why is this? Well, Mercury is our messenger, the messenger that brings in those communications and impressions. Now, it's perfect for the sign of Gemini, of course, because it's an earth sign. It's got its ideas, it needs to think and talk, or not sometimes, but it needs to think and talk, and that's what Gemini does. So Mercury, that messenger, is what we see a Gemini do, always thinking, maybe moving around, physically moving around as well. But what about Virgo? Why does Mercury rule Virgo as well? Well, Virgo needs a different kind of network, a different kind of messenger. Virgo thinks. It thinks very analytically and very precisely. It's a good worker, of course, Virgo. It's of service to things. So it needs to think. It needs to think to get that level of often criticism, although I'd say discrimination, that Virgo does. So here we have Mercury working a different way, and it's using a more analytical. The senses are coming in, but they're being processed. And don't forget, Virgo is an earth sign. So when the senses come in, when the communication comes into a Virgo, the earth, it's being taken down to earth and processed and worked out and kept until the correct response from the Virgo is given. So Mercury's needed for Virgo to give out the information it does. But in Gemini, it is just that open channel through and through. Venus again rules Taurus and Libra. Now, the Venus in Taurus is that indulgent nature of Taurus. It's the things that Taurus like. It's the nice things, the nice possessions, the nice objects. The food, of course, of Taurus, well known for its food. And often people, the attachment to people as a possession is big in Taurus. In Libra, it's another side of Venus. It's the harmony and the balance. It's that harmony and peace and quiet and everything being nice and stable that Libra needs to keep that balance in relationships or whatever else they're trying to keep the balance with. So you can see Venus works two ways. It's beautiful things, the beauty again of Venus, the planet, but it's also the feeling of Venus, the peace and quiet and serenity that it gives off from that beauty as well. Mars rules Aries. But, however, the sign of Scorpio is there as well. Now, what does this mean? Well, in modern astrology, Mars is given to Aries, and that gives Mars gives Aries its action, its energy, its drive. Yes, it's blinded sometimes, it's a little bit selfish, it doesn't think too wide in its actions, but Aries needs Mars to get going. Aries, that jet of flame, that cardinal self-starting sign, wouldn't go anywhere without the energy of Mars. But Scorpio here is in brackets, and that's because in ancient times, before the outer planets were discovered and given their own rulerships, and we'll see the outer planets later in the course in the next few classes, Mars was given to Scorpio because of the fight and the intensity and the power. The god of war, Mars, was given to these people, this energy that is very intense, very brooding, and often quite confrontational, if of course we go and prod the Scorpio, which is never a good idea. So that's an old-fashioned rulership that once was, and now we've discovered other energies the world has given those energies to this more modern, different planet that we'll see, and that Scorpio's now given to Pluto, which we'll see later. Now Jupiter, again, 2 rulerships and the same principle. Jupiter is now given to Sagittarius, and that's the expansion, the no boundaries, the freedom, the opportunity of Sagittarius. Sagittarius, we've seen, is a fire sign. It's a mutable fire sign. It needs freedom. It needs things to burn up. And Jupiter is the very expansive, no boundaries energy that Sagittarius needs. Now, in, again, older astrology, before the scientific revolution began and technology brought us these outer planets, it was given to Pisces. And that was the dreamy, otherworldly side of Pisces, the spiritual side. So Jupiter is often known for its travel of the mind, and Pisces is, it knows no boundaries in thought and feeling and faith and things like that. Pisces was given to Jupiter because of that expansive realm and moving into these realms. So we can see that, is it still valid? Well, yes and no. You will find sometimes that Mars does have an affinity in a chart with Scorpio. It's like a higher octave. It's like a musical octave that's played at one level and then a bigger intensity is another level. The musicians will understand this, but that's what these older rulerships are. They were brought in by Ptolemy, the Emperor Ptolemy in Egypt, and some say that they're not as valid as they should be. Sometimes say, yes, there's no question now that Mars is Aries and Jupiter is Sagittarius, but I think you should just take them on board and remember them just for the time being. So that's the rulership of the planet.